To win the Oscar was mind-blowing. To receive that amount of validation was incredible. I've never experienced anything like it, and it just is testament to how the film Wicked Part One was received, overall, how it was embraced, and also how my work was embraced. And in some ways, it was because I look at my whole career as one that is additive. The way that I designed Wicked is informed by all of the productions that I've been a part of prior to that, and to have all of that, essentially all of that work acknowledged in one evening by a whole audience of people was amazing. Currently, I keep my Oscar on the credenza directly across from my couch so I can gaze at it every day. The fact that Wicked, Part One and Wicked for Good, that whole era of my life is coming to a close. It's bittersweet. In the creating of, if I include the design process and the process of filming, it was probably a total of 2.5 years of my life, and it's all of the connections that I made, all of the creativity that was expressed, the rich collaborative experience both with the cast, the amazing cast, John M. Chu and the rest of the creatives, was just that bond so very meaningful. And as well, all the people that helped to and devoted themselves to creating the costumes. It's hard to let that go. And now that we're on the down slope of that period, it's very moving. Wicked for Good is a continuation of the Glinda Elphaba story, and the Wicked story overall. So the whole the concept and story visually of both films needed to be conceived simultaneously, because it was a continuous vision. It's taking place in the same environments. So it was more about, or most about, having Elphaba and Glinda's story make sense and be plausible even within this fantasy world, where you've got two young women entering into school, understanding, what their characters are, what their motivations are, what their choices are, and that then opened itself up to choices of dress, clothing, and how they wanted to represent themselves within the world of Shiz, and then carrying that through into their time at Emerald City, and as for Elphaba as a savior of the animals. So I needed to figure out from the very beginning where those characters start and where they end, so that emotional arc was consistent. That color palette became consistent as it was telling its story. All the way through, John M. Chu was giving me clear points of view on how they develop as characters, what is important for them when they enter into Shiz versus what's important for them as they are potentially leaving Oz. So making, creating for me, that was the exciting thing, and a way to represent each emotional point of their lives as we are presented with them. As well as reflecting their backstory, and having the opportunity to show them as children was really exciting, both for Elphaba and Galinda, and what helped to, or what informed who they became as young women. When we are first introduced to Elphaba at the beginning of Wicked for Good, you see her at the pinnacle of her heroic persona. She has fully embraced this idea of being a savior of the animals of Oz, and she's dressing the part. She's got, she leads with her pointed hat that's expanded from the size that it was in Wicked Part 1. She's got a badass coat that she is sweeping, and it's married with a beautiful but tattered cape. It's a silk velvet cape that has a waving, kind of a thunderous pattern on the hem. And then, she has the remnants of the dress that she wore when she first arrived at Emerald City, when she met the wizard for the first time, and that's where we have left her in Wicked Part 1. So to see how the weather, how all the the work and action that she has endured up to that point, how it's reflected in the costumes, that was important for me. That her boots become knee-high boots, and it's paired with a pair of trousers. Her tunic is the dress, as I was mentioning, but that the silhouette is, has a sense of strength, that it's imposing, and you know that this is a figure, a character, a person to grapple with, and I think that it's embraced and worn beautifully by Cynthia Erivo. Looking at Glinda as it's played by Ariana Grande, we see that she has embedded herself within the culture of Emerald City. She is being shown as this figure, this archetype of good. It's an archetype of beauty, of glamour. It's all of this kind of polish that's that's been supplied to her, and it's reflected in the clothing. Her clothing carries a a Dior-like romanticism about her. She's very, it's a Hollywood glamour that is then represented in the same color, in that pink, soft, feminine color palette that she is known for, and that is actually her favorite color. And we actually see that color as it represents itself when she's a child at her birthday party. And then, I've continued to weave in the theme of butterflies and bubbles, and those things that are airborne. But then when she is presented with this magical vehicle, which is a bubble, and that is the archetype of Glinda, I pair her with this bubble dress. And that is the first version of that is blue and lavender. And in being visually reflective of the iridescence of a soap bubble, the pattern of the bell of the dress, it carries that same kind of swirling pattern. And also the multi-layered sheer fabrics as they move together and in opposition to each other, it creates a similar kind of waving iridescent pattern. So it then plays most of the rest of For Good in that dress as this icon of goodness. It's only when she decides that she's going to do things her way, and this is once Elphaba has melted into the floor, she goes back to Emerald City and takes on her own role of, that decided role of goodness, and how she's going to live a life of good, the rest of her time in Oz. And that's when she embraces the pink kind of swirling dress that was established in Wicked Part One. Thinking about Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible, I mean, Michelle Yeoh is, a stunner, fashion-wise. I mean, she is an amazing fashionista. She loves clothing. It was a delight to dress her. But then as, I was interpreting Madame Morrible, was trying to figure out how do I connect her to this, the culture and environment of Emerald City and what her role is as Madame Morrible, this very austere, evil, but understanding that her character, Madame Morrible, is one that can control the weather, that has a connection to that which is celestial. I wanted to imbue that into her costume. So you see that embroidered in one of the first dresses that we see, which is when they're in the apartment and in Glinda's apartment, and she's actually presenting the bubble vehicle to Glinda. We see that her green, emerald green dress, it has crystals and glass beads that are paved around the collar, but then also there's a pattern, a celestial pattern that runs the perimeter of the dress as well. It's this wonderful asymmetrical pagne dress that she wears in that scene. And then, I continue to find kind of poignant silhouettes for her. One where the Fiyero, this is when Glinda and Fiyero announce their coming wedding. And Madame Morrible is in a military-inspired kind of glamorous version of what the rest of the military of Emerald City is in. It's kind of, she's held in this cage of bullion cord, and that it comes with sleeves and a kind of a restrictive collar. Trying to give her this kind of militaristic arch feel was what I was after with her costumes. When you look at the Scarecrow costume, it was inspired by, the original illustration from the Frank L. Baum book of The Wizard of Oz. The same with the Tin Man, it's using that as a springboard for what those two characters, how they would be represented in Wicked for Good. It's really fun and delightful to have the opportunity to, re-envision what these iconic characters might be. We've got Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion as well. And the backstory, the story behind the Scarecrow and the Tin Man are, that they're transforming one character into another, meaning a character that we know and love transforms into the Scarecrow. And, my desire to make those connections, was very important. Making that connection in the silhouette, making that connection in some of the detailing that I have on the Scarecrow. But then also introducing, like the shape of his boots, where, if you were to look at the original illustrations, the foot of that boot on the Scarecrow is very similar to what I have on the Scarecrow in Wicked for Good. And then, to have the opportunity to dress, the amazing character that plays that is just really wonderful to see those transformations. It's a film that is full of icons of the culture of the Wizard of Oz, and when you see the four friends from a distance, exactly who you're seeing because of, some it's because of the color, some of it's because of the silhouettes, and if you didn't know the musical of Wicked, you would know who these characters are. It was important for me to not copy or recreate what Judy Garland had worn although I wanted for it to be nostalgic of that character because I think that it was useful in creating that kind of connection. But her dress, her silhouette is based on a turn of the century girl's dress. So all the detailing, the scale of the sleeves, the skirt itself, what I wanted to hold to was the blue and white gingham that is shared by both, and also the hem height, because I wanted for that, again, from a distance, for the silhouette to ring true to how we remember the Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz film. The experience of creating both Wicked Part 1 and Wicked for Good has changed my life incredibly. It's more than I can actually put words to it, because of the, starting with the connections of collaborators like John M. Chu as director, Alice Brooks as our cinematographer, Nathan Crowley as our production designer, Frances Hannon as the makeup and hair designer, the amazing cast, including Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, Michelle Yeoh, Jeff Goldblum, Ethan Slater. It's on and on and on. Everyone that was involved in creating, the 70 people that we had full time as a costume wardrobe team, building costumes that sometimes went up to 150 people. It's a vast village of people that were part of creating these two films, and in that time creating bonds that will last for a lifetime. If John M. Chu asked me, or he invited me to do a Wicked Part 3, I am right there for it. Let me know when we start.